Joining us on the line right now, Homer City graduate and Olympic qualifier, Angel Piccirillo. Angel, thanks so much for joining us here on Indiana in the Morning.
Yes, of course. Thank you for having me.
No problem at all. For those who do not know, Angel graduated from Homer Center in 2012, 10 individual track and field titles, and a PIAA record under her belt as well. Quite an eventful 9 years since moving on from Indiana County. Appeared in 3 NCAA track and field championships with Villanova, a highly respected athletic program. Even won the 4x800 meter relay at the 2017 Penn Relays. And now she will move on to probably the toughest challenge yet, the Olympic trials. Angel, I have to start off by asking you, what emotions went through you when you heard that you qualified for the Olympic trials?
I mean, I was really excited. This is one of those things that you're shooting for and thinking about since the beginning of your career in the sport. So, yeah, I was excited. I've also had a little bit of a rocky season, so it was definitely a relief to finally put a good one together and make this happen, make this little step towards a dream happen. So I was beyond excited, really, really thrilled.
Yeah, I'd imagine. We talked with your former high school track coach. We'll start with your roots here. Former coach Matt Rodkey. He commended your work ethic and said how proud he was that one of his former athletes achieved such a feat. Can you go in depth on what exactly he and the rest of the Homer Center track and field coaching staff did to sort of aid you and give you that little push to your success on the track and in the field?
I honestly don't think I could ever say enough about my high school coaches, especially as I've gotten older. I've noticed and heard other athletes I was lucky. I was really, really lucky, and I don't think I knew it as much at the time. Now I have a little bit more perspective of how important a good coach is and also how hard it is to get a coach that actually knows what they're doing and really cares about you at the high school level. I mean, you're not in it for rich and to be rich and famous, so I think that it's really easy to end up with somebody who doesn't exactly know what to do with a talented athlete. So, yeah, I mean, that's my entire foundation was built at Homer Center with those coaches, Mr. Rodkey and Coach Gentili and Mike Gentili. So, yeah, I mean, I honestly owe them everything that I have because they really set me up on a path to be successful long-term, and that's, like you said, where I am now, almost 10 years later.
Yeah, and then you said Homer Center was sort of that foundation building, and now Villanova comes in, and it's sort of putting, almost, if I can compare it to something in the real world, sort of like putting that siding on the house to really perfect it and sort of shape it a little bit, give it that final form. Talk about your career at Villanova and what all you took from there in sort of going on this journey for the Olympic trial.
Yeah, I mean, that was similar. I was just someone who got really lucky. Like, you make that decision coming out of high school as an 18-year-old, and, I mean, how do you know, what's right and what's wrong? Like, you're so young to be making a really big decision that'll have a lasting impact on your entire life. So, but once again, I got really lucky. I had an amazing woman as a coach there, Gina Procaccio, and she just took where my high school coaches had gotten me and just ran with it. Like, she is amazing. I think of her as a really good friend now. And I am equally indebted to her for everything that she has done for me as well. I mean, she was an amazing athlete in her own right, and just really understood what it took to be an elite athlete, but also looked at you as more than just an athlete. Like, she definitely cared about me as a whole person, and that's really important to me, and important to me being successful. Like, I don't see any other way. So, yeah, I love her as well, and that was just one more step, a lot of new experiences competing at the Division I college level, and set me up on this path now.
Yeah. Now, after college, did you sort of take a bit of a break with everything, or did you go straight into training for the Olympic trials?
So I went straight into training for the Olympic trials, but I ended up finishing college, my eligibility in college in 2017. I graduated in 2016, but had a fifth year. And so this has been now what turned into kind of a 4-year journey to get to this point. I was in Philadelphia training professionally for a little while, and then I just recently, maybe 10 months ago, moved out to the West Coast. So I live in Bend, Oregon now. And yeah, I thought that was the best place for me to be to try to make this dream a reality. So a lot of changes have happened recently in my life, but all for the best. And once again, I'm in a good spot. I have a good coach. My fiance is a professional track athlete out here as well, going to the Olympics. So, yeah, I feel like all of these steps have been part of a bigger picture, and I'm just trying to realize that picture right now.
Now, were you surprised at all when you heard you were moving on to the Olympic trials? Was it sort of like a culture shock, or were you were pretty confident saying, you know what, I know my abilities, so I was confident that I was going to make it? No real shaking to me.
I wish that the latter, but I think it was definitely more of a combination of a little bit of relief. Like I said, the season has just not gone to plan, which, to be fair, they never do. So you have an idea in your head at the beginning of a season of what it's going to look like, and then life happens and it doesn't look that way. But yeah, so I feel like there was part of me that was like, oh my gosh, like, am I actually going to be able to do this season? And like, partly coming to terms of like, okay, Angel, if you don't make it to the trials this year, like, it's not the end of the world. There's a lot of season left. Like, you have other goals, and there will be lots of opportunities to try and run fast, you know, whatever, all the things that you tell yourself if you're kind of dealing with a situation like that. So to then go to kind of a last chance meet, run the time that I needed to run was such a relief, but also a realization of a lot of hard work. Like, it didn't happen by accident, but I just had a lot of races that didn't go the way I wanted. So it's just nice when it all comes together. There's a little bit of chance involved with any sporting event. So, yeah, that chance was definitely finally on my side last week.
Now, one thing I was told, and I don't know, you can confirm or deny or tell me I'm crazy or not, was that you trained heavily in the 1,500 meters, but your qualification is in the 800-meter race. Now, if that's true, how much of that training did you dedicate to the 800-meter portion? And just talk about that, you know, putting all of your emphasis on one area, but ultimately finding success with another.
Yeah, so that was a little bit of a turn. I mean, I think it's one of those things where I've run both of those events a lot throughout my career, and I think that I can be successful in kind of this little pocket of events. And my college coach actually always just tell me, like, if you're fit, you're fit. Like, if you're in good shape and training at a really elite level and working all of these systems anyway, like, you can run a down event or move up. Like, you just have a little bit of versatility if you're in good shape. So I definitely believe that's true. But, yeah, I mean, it was kind of just a situation that I think head against the wall with the 1,500. And it was like, okay, we're going to do a different event, just clear the slate and do something that you haven't been maybe as fixated on, and just like see what happens and kind of approach it with that mindset versus like the really intense focused mindset of like, I need this time, I'm chasing this time, I've been trying to get this time, you know, that I had kind of been approaching the 1,500 with. So yeah, I'm grateful that it worked out, and I think it was the adjustment that I needed. And I think if I go back to the 15 now, I think I'll feel a lot better and have a lot more success than I was kind of having before. I think I just kind of got in a rut. So, yeah, I think it's important to mix it up, change it up if you need to get your head right.
Yeah, and, you know, the good things in life come in many different ways, whether you expect them to or not.
Yes.
I want to sort of talk about training a little bit. You know, my sister, who's currently in high school, runs the 100-meter hurdles and 4x100 relay. While there's a major difference between what she does, considering it's more sprint-based and your events are more distance-based, does it still take a lot of training in perfecting your craft outside of the track as it does on it?
Yes. Oh, my gosh. That's so critical. I think sometimes people see what we do and they're like, oh, you just run. Like, that's not that bad. Or, I hate running, I can never do it, you know, like, just simplify it to that element. And obviously the actual one foot in front of the other running is really important, but what's equally important is what you're doing off the track, kind of when you're not training. So I'll probably spend every day somewhere between an hour and maybe 3 hours running training, whether it's a single run or a long run or 2 runs in a day that make about that much time, or a track workout that's, you know, a little bit longer with a warm up and a cool down and all that stuff. But then there's 2 or 3 gym sessions a week. You should be doing core 5 out of the 7 days. You need to be stretching, you need to be sleeping and eating and drinking water, you know, so it's a situation where, yeah, the running is really important, but at the end of the day, like, if you're not doing all the other things, all the other hours of the day, like, it doesn't really matter what you're running. Like, you're not going to achieve the success that you could achieve if you were doing all of those other things. So I think it is definitely you need to take a holistic approach, and it's easy to just get tunnel vision a little bit on the actual running aspect of it. But yeah, definitely a lot of work perfecting the craft, but also a lot of work keeping yourself on where you need to be and taking care of your body.
Definitely. It takes more of that just because of the overexertion that your body takes and the physical toll you put yourself through. So that secondary training is definitely vital for that. We're talking with Angel Piccirillo, the Homer City graduate, now turned Olympic qualifier. So we're talking about the preparations that you'll be taking to prepare. But, Angel, when exactly are these trials set to take place, and where, and exactly when will you be running to potentially qualify for the Olympic race?
So the trials are this coming week, so the 18th of June. So the trials go over the course of about 2 weeks. But I compete in the second half of the program, which will be on the 22nd, 23rd, and 25th, I believe. There are 3 rounds. And so I still have a little bit of time, but the actual Olympic trials with other events, men's and women's, and all the other races and field events and all that stuff will start on the 18th of June. But yeah, it's the time is now. We are here, and it's all going down in Eugene, Oregon. So about 2.5 hours from where I live.
Yeah, definitely. And Angel, hey, we wish you the best of luck. You know, it's not every day that a local name gets this sort of opportunity. So don't be surprised if you hear us cheering you on all the way from Indiana County out there in Oregon.
I love that. Yes, I expect nothing less. Thank you.
That was former Homer Center track and field star turned Olympic qualifier Angel Piccirillo on the Voice of Indiana County, WCCS 101.1 FM and AM 1160.